Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the iBug Mac and Talk number 49 for Tuesday, July 25th, 2023. I am your facilitator, Chanelle Allen, and I have several other people here with me, Brad Snyder, Herbie Allen, and Sandhya Rao. They will also all be helping me out as well. Mac and Talk is a Q&A conference call for anyone with Mac questions. Whether you're just getting started out and you need some help learning VoiceOver, or maybe you haven't even decided to get a Mac yet and you're trying to figure out which one is the best for you. Or you could be a longtime Mac user with some questions about an app or feature. For whatever reason, I am so glad you are joining us now live or later on via the podcast recording. We have several awesome opportunities, training events, social events at iBug, and the best way for you to know about them is just for me to tell you about all the ways you can get our announcements. Our website is ibugtoday.org. And that has several important things. It has a calendar of upcoming events. It has instructions for accessing Zoom. It also has links to Mac and Talk, which is this call, including on that Mac and Talk page recordings and instructions for subscribing to our Mac and Talk email list. But if you go to the iBug Today site, one of the most important things you'll want to do there is register for a free account. Membership is free, participating in all of our events is free, and by registering, you will be notified of any of our upcoming events. If you'd rather follow us on social media, we have options for you there too. On Facebook, you can find us at facebook.com/groups/iBugToday. And people also post other information and questions, just exchange information in between our events. Our announcements are posted there, and we have Instagram and Twitter at iBugToday. And those are our social media. We do also have a YouTube channel. If you just look for iBug Today on YouTube, you will find us, and that's great because it has past recordings of our workshops, and they actually get uploaded really quickly. Like the Apple workshop we recently had is already available in recording either on our website or maybe on the YouTube, but we do get things uploaded quickly. Also, the YouTube channel has a playlist of the Mac training course. So for some reason, if you're not ever able to enroll in the class, you can listen to the videos that have been posted from previous courses. We are also on your favorite podcast app or smart speaker of choice. Just ask or look for iBug Buzz, iBug Mac and Talk, iBug Cafe, and iBug Apple Workshop. And let's see, as far as events that we have coming up this week, on Thursday, we have It's iBug's Life, Chillin' and Grillin'. What a great topic for the summer. Our facilitator, George Batiste, will talk about outdoor and indoor grilling. That takes place on Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. All of these times are central, and everything takes place on Zoom except for the couple of events we have on Clubhouse. But on Friday, we have iBug Night at the Virtual Movies, and this week's feature is Terms of Endearment from 1983, and it begins at 7:30 with a pre-movie social followed by the movie at 8 and a discussion afterwards. And then every Monday evening we have iBug Buzz, and that's a great place. That takes place from 7 to 9 p.m. Also here on the same Zoom, the Zoom link and ID and all that does not change. It stays the same. And so iBug Buzz is a great opportunity for you to ask about those iDevices, iPhones, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and the accessories and things that go along with them. On, I think next Tuesday is, I'm trying to remember, but on Tuesdays from 5 to 6 p.m., I think it's the second and fourth Tuesdays, we do iBug Mac Buzz, and the first and third, we do the iBug Mini Buzz.
Other way around.
Oh, other way around. Oh, dear. All right, getting all my times mixed up. So then next week will be the iBug Mac Buzz, and you'll definitely want to come in for that. Any questions you don't get a chance to ask tonight or any follow up, you can definitely join us for iBug Mac Buzz next week. Okay, but now I've spent a lot of time talking, and it's your turn to talk. So, what we do is we go around the virtual room and you just say your name, where you're calling from, and if this is your first time joining Mac and Talk.
This is Jose from Houston. It is my first time here at Mac and Talk.
Great, welcome. We're happy to have you.
This is Misty from New Jersey.
Yay, Misty, back again. Welcome.
This is Shannon and Doc from Colorado.
All right, welcome both of you.
This is Desi in Franklin, Tennessee.
Desi, welcome.
Thank you. It is not my first time.
No. Yep, welcome.
Brad, I'm in Dallas.
Hello.
Paul in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, welcome, Paul.
Bumi is in Burlington, Ontario.
Welcome, Boonmi. Glad to see you again.
This is Gail in Houston.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, Chanelle.
Great to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Dan from Southern California.
Dan, welcome.
Mary Ellen Earl, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah, welcome back, Mary Ellen. Glad to have you. Okay. Oh, is there somebody else? Starting to speak? All right. Well, if you feel inclined to introduce yourself or ask a question at any time in the meeting, by all means, go ahead. You don't have to have introduced yourself first. We just care about helping you answer your questions. So, with that in mind, who would like to ask our first question?
Jose?
Yes, Jose.
Well, like I mentioned at the beginning of the call, I'm starting to get more and more curious about the Mac. I've used Windows my entire life, and I'm just getting more curious. So a couple of questions. Are you able to use Google Chrome on a Mac?
Great question. I can give you the short answer, and that's yes. Do you have any other questions?
The other question is, are you able to do magnification on a Mac? You know how you have access to Zoom and Zoom text on a Windows. Do Mac have magnification?
Brad. Brad, yes, I knew you'd be able to chip in on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a built-in screen magnification. It's called, of all things, Zoom, just like it is on the iPhone, and it's not bad. It's a pretty basic screen magnifier. It certainly doesn't have all of the features like Zoom text, but if you use it, it has, of course, no speech. If you use it in conjunction with VoiceOver, which does have a little rectangle so you can track where your focus is, but of course it moves through keyboard. But it's a very basic magnifier, but it's not bad. And you can invert colors and some things, basic stuff like that.
You read my mind. I was about to ask you that.
Well, you said Zoom text. I taught Zoom text and Magic for many, many years. So I know what screen magnification people are looking for.
And I'm using Fusion right now, which is great because I don't read a whole lot, but I like to point and click where I'm going sometimes. And I'm thinking about using the Mac just for basic stuff, taking notes, checking email, and going to my job's website, which is a platform that they have online, but it's very simple, very straightforward. So what was the other question I'm going to ask you?
This is Janet.
Yes.
Okay, let's let Jose, were you done with your thought?
He was going to ask about
thing.
He was going to ask about Google.
All right, Jose, I think you were going to ask another question.
One last thing, and then I'll let someone else come in. The screen sizes, do they get pretty big with a Mac? Do they get big as far as screen sizes? Because as large print people, we love our big screens.
This is Herbie.
Yeah, go ahead, Herbie.
I mean, you can get any kind of monitor. Most monitors will work with the Mac that you want, and if you get a desktop. I did want to go back to the Google Chrome thing, though, real quick, if I may.
Actually, I think Janet had a comment on that first.
Okay.
So, Janet, is that what? Or I
This
thought
is
she
Brad,
did.
if I could, on the screen size before we
Okay,
move on
go ahead.
Chrome.
Sure.
They just came out. An excellent computer to get started on a Mac is the MacBook Air, and it has had for a while a 13-inch, which actually is 13 point something. I can't remember what it was. I think it's 13.6, but they've just come out with a 15-inch MacBook Pro. It's not gigantic. I mean, MacBook Air. It's not gigantic, but it's a very nice size for an Air. There's no bezel. There's practically zero bezels. So the screen goes to the edge of the enclosure. But it's a very nice screen. It's very sharp. A low vision person would find it very, very usable. So that's about, there's two sizes on all the laptops. But anyway, the Air is good. It's new and it's very nice. That's it.
All right. And so, yeah, Herbie, go ahead.
Just keep in mind that, so first of all, Chrome is a browser. You can you can use Chrome on the Mac, but just keep in mind that you're embracing the Google environment when you do that. So Safari is a much better private browser, and there are a couple times when I do find Chrome useful, but for the most part I still prefer Safari, and but just keep in mind, if you use Google, you do lose some of your privacy that you would get with Safari. So.
All right, very good. Anyone else have any more comments on Jose's questions?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
Well, Herbie's right on target with the privacy issues with Chrome, but that aside, if you are using it on Windows, you sign into your Google account, a lot of your stuff will go across the two platforms. And I do find Chrome to be very accessible on a Mac. I do prefer Safari for various reasons, but there are times when I do need to use Chrome. So it works, it's accessible, and it's fine. Not as fine as Safari, but it's fine.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. All right. Well, thanks, Jose, for getting us started. Who would like to ask our next set of questions?
I had a comment on Google Chrome. It's Bumi.
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Bumi.
Maybe not a really big thing, but I noticed that when I use Google Chrome on the Mac, and I want to quit the app when I'm done, it says hold Command Q, and if you do it too long, you might end up closing all your apps. So it's sometimes hard to get the right timing for that.
Yes, good point. It can be. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, that can be turned off.
I was wondering.
It's in. I cannot remember where it is.
Is it in the settings?
It's in preferences, I'm pretty sure, and you can turn it off, and then it will work just like any other Mac app. Because that holding command. Well, actually, if you do Command W and close all your windows first, then Command Q works like normal Command Q. But
good point.
But if you've got Windows open, it's kind of on one hand, it's a nice safety valve to keep you from accidentally closing the application and all open windows, but that can be toggled on or off to suit your preferences.
Very good. Thanks. I thought I'd seen something about that somewhere. Awesome.
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
So I have a new thing.
Okay.
There's a couple of interesting things that. So I want to tell everybody something that I ran into last week in case you ever have this problem. But first, I just want to comment because Shri had asked earlier in the iBug thing about in the mini buzz if there was any accessibility improvements with iOS. But that brought to mind something I noticed with this latest Mac OS update because I had to fully restart my machine because the authentication window was hidden. And I noticed I did not get the login items at startup page. And for a while too, when I opened my Mac, like it would be like there would be something that would be hung up from the last restart. So it seemed to have fixed a couple of little startup issues with this latest update. So I don't know if anybody else has experienced that yet with the latest one, or just something to make note of next time you restart. So last week I had an interesting issue where somehow my Mac had locked me out of the thing, and when I tried to log back in, it would not accept my password, and I should have tried resetting VoiceOver and seeing if that fixed the problem, but it didn't, so it literally locked my account to where I could not log in, and so I had to go into recovery mode and unlock my account that way. And just if anybody ever runs into that. Now, I do have File Vault on, so I don't know if that's a factor or not. But
it wouldn't just let you restart? And
nope, if I restarted, it would just say account locked after I entered in the password. It would say this account has been locked, so try again later.
Okay.
So I literally had to go into recovery mode, which on my Intel is holding down. I discovered you can just do Command R on the keyboard. You don't have to hit the power button and just hold it in, like on the built-in keyboard.
Right.
And for you M1/M2 users, you just hold on the power button for about a few seconds. And that gets you into recovery mode. But I had to just go into like cannot use my password, and then I entered it, and that seemed to unfreeze it, and I could get back in normally. So I just wanted to tell everybody about it, experience in case you ever run into anything similar.
All right. Thank you.
Brad.
Yes, Brad.
A little bug I noticed that got fixed. By the way, anybody that's not sure what we're talking about, there was a Mac OS Ventura update that came out yesterday, 13.6. They came out with updates across the board yesterday, but in particular, we're talking about the one for the Mac. I have this nifty little, it's like a flash drive, but it fits into the SD card slot. And the nice thing about it is when it's in, it's flush. So for one thing it does is I think it's nice. It keeps dirt from going in the SD card slot, but it's a little 256. There were other sizes. I just bought the inexpensive one. So it's always in there. And after the last 13.5, no, we're on 13.5. It was 13.4 is the previous one. Sorry, I'm getting my iOS and macOS confused. Anyway, the point is it wouldn't show up after a restart, after I would shut the computer down and then boot it up. And I would always have to pull it out and then plug it back in. And that has been fixed. And I don't know if that was unique to the SD card. I do have a desktop Mac, and I got several external drives plugged into it. I did not have a problem with those. It was just this little Transcend SD card flash drive thing. So anyway, just something
So
small
I have a question. So then the newer Mac laptops must have SD card slots.
Just the pros.
Oh, just okay. Because my MacBook Pro 2017 does not. So
no, they got rid of them at some point. When the touch bars came out, they got rid of them. And then they brought it back in the 2021 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros, but not the Airs.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad that the update has helped. Does anyone else, before I go into my Mac story, does anyone else have any questions or comments about this topic of updates? There was one released. I checked for it this morning and it installed pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Yeah, my login Windows thing disappeared a long time ago, but it's like I've been having a problem where my voiceover speech cuts out, and I thought, okay, switch voiceover to the main sound card, but it was still cutting out. I was trying to figure out if it was a voiceover issue, if it was just my Mac was whatever slowing up or doing something weird. But anyway, I find that this morning after updating it fixed itself. Then this evening, unplugging the Ethernet, turning off Wi-Fi, turning them back on again seemed to have fixed it. So I don't know what my Mac's doing. But I don't know if anybody else has had any problems with your Mac kind of seeming to stop and start, or not stop and start, but just like it's trying to pause itself.
This is Brad. What do you mean switch voiceover to the main sound card?
Instead of it being in my headphones, like, because instead of being in my headset, because I thought, okay, maybe my headset is just giving out, but that wasn't the issue.
And you run
So
it through your headset. Why? You're talking about one that you plug in.
yeah, I have VoiceOver come through that.
But if you have your voiceover set to system, does your headset plug into where? A headphone jack?
No, the USB port. A US.
Okay.
It's
Yeah. Okay, that is not your default. I have mine set to run through my default.
Well, yeah, I have
Whatever
it
it
set
calls
to
it.
run as my default, but I switched the VoiceOver to the internal or to the built-in output. So,
Okay,
but that
mine's
wasn't
set
the
to run
issue.
on whatever it calls system default. And
Yeah,
so if I plug in a headset, it switches to the headset. If I use AirPods or AirPod Max headphones, it switches. That's my I can't remember
yeah.
what Apple
All
calls.
right. Well, I didn't feel like
Same as
unplugging.
system. That's what they call
Right,
it.
right.
Same as system. So I've never had any problem. I don't know. I never noticed.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get back to everyone else's question. We don't want to that was a sideline on updates. So, um does anyone have any other questions?
Yeah, this is Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hi. I'm interested in Brave, the browser. I've heard a lot of good comments about Brave, and I haven't had a chance to look in the Mac store. Does anybody know, will Brave run on a Mac?
Oh, has anyone used Brave on the Mac?
This is Brad. Yes,
Yes,
it
Brad.
does. Yes,
Okay.
it does. I haven't
Oh,
used it
okay.
much, but it does run and it's fine. It's a Chromium based browser, so it's very similar to running Google Chrome, and it runs faster because, like Kirby pointed out, the privacy issue. Google is harvesting all kinds of information about your activity online, and that tends to, in my opinion, slow the browser down,
Mm-hmm.
and makes it, just kind of a resource hog. And the Brave does not do that. So,
Oh, good. So it's available in the Mac store? Brave?
no, you have to go to. It's not in the Mac store. You have to go to the Brave website. I can't remember what it is, but if you do a Google search, since we love Google,
Yeah.
Brave browser for Mac, download, and your first search result should be the Brave website where you can download it, and it figures out what your OS is and all that when you go there, and it should just offer you up the Brave for Mac download.
Oh,
Very
very good.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. And this is a good opportunity to point out that most apps that you download for the Mac, you'll actually end up going to third-party websites to get them. The Mac App Store isn't quite as expansive, as inclusive, whatever, as the iPhone App Store. So like for instance, this Zoom app that we're all connecting with. If you have it on your Mac, you go to zoom.us to get it. There's other, I don't even think that the App Store has Google Chrome. You have to,
No.
go. There's a lot of instances where you just have to go to the website to get an
This
app.
is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie?
I think I did get Chrome from the Mac App Store.
Oh, really?
I think so, yes.
Interesting. Well, I get it the same way as I get Brave by, searching
All
for
right.
it.
Now, granted, it's been several years, but I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay, well, you never know. If you check one place and it's not there, then check the other.
Some
Who would
places
like?
are available both.
Yeah, sometimes they are.
Microsoft Office is that way. You can get it from the App Store, but you can also get it directly from Microsoft.
Yep. Great. Who would like to ask our next question?
This is Desi.
Yes, Desi.
Recently, I was on an ACB community call with Unmute Presents. I was hosting actually, and it was before Herbie and I got looped back for me, and so I don't have to screen share anymore. And Michael Babcock was giving me a bad time and saying, you don't have to screen share. You need to get with Herbie and do this, which I did, and that was all great. But at that time, when I was sharing my screen, he and Marty both told me that I needed to empty my trash, that it was really full. And I was very surprised because I don't remember
How
really
would they know that?
Well, yeah, well, I guess because they saw it on my screen.
The icon.
The icon, yeah. So anyway, so then I went the other day into under Apple, and I went to empty trash, and it was dimmed. So I am a little bit confused about that.
Okay. So why is Desi's empty trash dimmed? Yeah, it's in the Finder menu. Go ahead, Brad.
Well, did you open the trash and there's a button in there, correct?
No, that's not what I did. I used VOM and went to the menu and then went down to empty
there was
trash.
nothing in the trash.
Okay, so why did they think that my trash was full?
Well, had you not emptied it?
No, I have never emptied it. I've only had this Mac for a few months, and I don't remember putting a bunch of stuff in it actually. So
well, I don't see well enough to see mine, but I remember back when I could see, I had a girlfriend once upon a time who had one of the very first Macs back when they were a little bitty thing with a 9-inch black and white screen. And one of the things I always remember about Apple, it was cool if you had anything in your trash, there's a little icon of a trash can on the screen. Mm-hmm. And if there's anything in it, the icon looks like a full trash can, like it's got wads of paper in it. Oh. And when it's empty, it's an empty trash can. Mm-hmm. Okay. I would say at any time when you are in Finder, the desktop, in a Finder window, if you just do Command Shift and hit the delete key, the one that is, right below the Touch ID center. If you
yes.
Well, yeah, I don't remember what you have a mini. I don't know what keyboard.
Anyway, I have the full size Apple Magic keyboard with the numpad. Yeah, right. I know exactly what you mean.
Or the key, the delete key that serves as a backspace key as well. Command Shift Delete. That will always empty your trash. And if there's anything in it, you'll get an alert. Are you sure you want to empty the trash? This is not, this action cannot be undone. Okay. And if there's anything in your trash, it'll delete it. If you do that action and nothing happens, there's nothing in it.
Okay. All right. So anyway, any thoughts about why it would show the full trash can if there isn't anything in it?
No clue.
Okay. Thanks.
Great question, though. Yeah. And if it's some reason that doesn't work, yeah, you'll find the empty trash item in the Finder menu. So, but yeah, if that's dimmed, I don't know. All right, great question though. Who would like to ask our next question?
This is Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, I have a couple questions. The first one, I mean, I know how to do the mail with Command O and I can read it and everything, but I was trying to open an attachment, which was a Word document. It wouldn't open and tried several times, and I'm wondering what I'm doing wrong.
So, what did you try to do to open the attachment?
Well, I couldn't. I don't know what to do to get it
Oh,
open.
you don't know what to do. Okay,
No, I don't. And also, if it's a Word document, I was having trouble too. Yeah, so I need to find out what to do.
All right. Who can tell Gail about how to open attachments on the Mac?
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
Okay, so first of all, we're talking about mail, correct?
Yes.
And are these text attachments or audio attachments?
She said Word.
Word.
Word. Okay. So there are several ways you can open attachments in the Mac, and it really depends.
Give her the simplest.
The simplest would be to go to your file menu, go down to with VOM and F, and then go down to Save Attachments, and then save it, and that might be the easiest because you don't have to go looking for anything.
Okay, actually, I was thinking, yeah. Well, either way, you have. Oh, Brad was.
Well, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
Brad?
You go ahead. I mean to.
Actually, yeah. What I kind of like is one cool thing you can do is go to the end of the email with Command down arrow.
You asked me to come up with what I thought.
Okay, Herbie, but then this way, once she found the attachment, VO Shift M on it, go down to
just
open.
VO spacebar will do it too. That'll open the context.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I can also do a VON for that method. I don't have to do a command down arrow, but
or whatever. Well, command down arrow is the tech equivalent to move in it. Okay, but fine. VON, you find the attachment, and then you could open if you didn't know where you wanted to save it. That's where, because sometimes those save dialogues come up, and you might not be sure where you're saving it.
One of the choices in that is save to downloads.
Yeah, that's a choice too.
And then you know where it is.
That works too. So yeah, so hopefully that helps you a little bit, Gail. VON, and then as they say, VO space, because when you do VON, you should be right there on the attachment. VO space, and then go to open or save and downloads. And there you go.
Okay, thank you.
And you should be able to open a Word file in Text Edit or Pages.
It'll open in Pages.
By default, it'll open in Pages.
Yeah,
but
I believe it opens in Pages if you don't have Word. But if you go to Open With, you can select Text Edit. Because if you open it in Pages, it's going to convert it to a Pages document, and then you have two of them. Yep. One that's a Word .doc or docx, and the other that's now a .pages file. It's very confusing on a Mac.
It can be, yeah.
It can be, but once you figure it out, it's not so bad.
Yep. All right. Who would like to ask the next question?
This is Desi. I just wanted to follow up.
Go ahead.
So apparently when I was looking for my empty trash before, I must have been looking in the wrong menu or something, because when I went to the menu under Finder and did it, I was very successfully, quickly able to empty my trash. So
all right. Yay. On the spot troubleshooting. Awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Who would like what?
Am I still unmuted? This is Gail. I had one more question?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I usually have my keyboard plugged into the Mac, and my Mac keeps dying. I mean, like used to have a lot of energy, and now it's like dead every single day. I have to go plug it in first to charge it before I can use it. And I was wondering, am I doing something wrong? Or
This is Herbie.
Go ahead, Herbie.
So, your Mac is, how old is your Mac, first of all?
I think it's 2019. It's a
Okay, so
MacBook
it's
Air.
4 years old, roughly. You've probably used it, if you've used it quite a bit, batteries die after a while. I would use it either just plugged in all the time, or I don't remember if they can replace the battery at with those things or not, but
it's expensive.
but batteries wear down over time.
It does not hurt it to leave it plugged in all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I think there was something wrong with.
So.
Yeah, I usually had it plugged in, and I guess the outlet must have gone bad. But I usually have it plugged in, and I guess I have to take it to another outlet. But yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully that works. And yeah, the Mac now just really is good at managing your battery and, only charging it when it needs it. And so there's definitely no harm in leaving it plugged in.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Misty.
Yes, Misty.
I was going to piggyback on what she was just saying.
Yeah, because you had a question about that last month, right?
Yes, because I ended up having to buy a new charger because I was leaving it plugged in and it died on me.
Oh, the charger died. Okay.
Yeah. So I only charge it when I'm actually on it, but then when I get ready to close it down, I'll unplug it.
But that could just be because the charger itself went bad.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the Mac, the charger
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
This is Desi.
Yes, Desi.
That brings up a couple of battery or charging type questions. One is I have this full-sized Apple Magic keyboard with the numpad, which I love, by the way.
Me too.
And I just went ahead right in the beginning and plugged it in to my computer, and I've never unplugged it. Is there any problem with doing that? Because I'm not really going to be carrying it around anywhere. I mean,
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
I have the same keyboard. I mean, I keep a wire plugged in to I have a desktop Mac, and I keep a wire plugged into it all the time for purposes of charging AirPods or plugging in an iPhone from time to time. And so it's always there. But I find that both the keyboard and I have the Magic trackpad as well. They'll go, oh God, a month. Mine sits there on all the time. And I think the keyboard and the trackpad will power themselves off, although I can just walk up and touch a key on the key and it immediately wakes up the Mac. My watch unlocks it, boom, it's on. I can check the power. It'll warn you when the power gets down to, can't remember if it's 10% or below 20%. But I got the wire just sitting there and I plug it in every so often. I try to tell myself every Sunday, although I don't always remember. And it'll charge up in, I don't know, an hour.
Yeah, but I guess I'm coming from the opposite direction. I have always left mine plugged in. I've never unplugged it.
I don't know if it would hurt it or not. Apple stuff is very smart. I tend to say no. Worst things that happens is you burn it up in a year and a half, 2 years. You have to cough up, But then and the keyboards that has the Touch ID on it are kind of expensive. So.
Go ahead, Herbie.
Yeah, I can leave my keyboard plugged in most of the time, and I've not had any problems. I had to replace it once, but that was because of a problem with the actual keyboard and the plug, and yeah.
This is Chanel. I always manage to damage my wires when I leave anything but yeah, I think the wires kind of give out more before the
Yeah.
whatever, but I use my keyboard solely as a Bluetooth, so the keyboard or the computer can sit on one area and I can be sitting on the other area, but yeah, I agree with Apple stuff. It doesn't sound like it would hurt it. I've
So
never heard of it.
that brings me then to my other question, which is I am using a Mac Mini with the M2 chip, and I very seldom really shut my computer down. I pretty much just leave it all the time. And I'm
Yeah, me too.
wondering what people think about that. Is it better to shut it down occasionally, or I mean, I just kind of like it because whenever I need to Zoom host or whatever else I want to do, I can just
This
come
is
right over
Herbie.
here and it's on.
Go ahead, Herbie.
Yeah, I don't shut my computer down. I mean, it gets restarted when I boot into Windows, so it does get a couple of restarts per week. But as a general rule, otherwise I just leave it running all the time.
This is Brad.
Right. Well, I don't ever
I don't
run
shut
Windows, but
mine down either.
Okay, so one at a time. Let's go with Brad and then Misty. So
I leave my desktop Mac Studio on 24/7, 365, unless I'm going out of town for several days.
Yeah, that's me too. Yeah.
I leave it on all the time. I try to reboot it every week or 10 days. Rebooting is good because it wipes out everything and gives it a clean start, don't have any accumulation of errors or anything like that. But
would you just do that with a restart then, or?
I tend to do a full shutdown, let it sit.
Okay.
And then I actually tend to reach down and turn off the backup power box as well, because then I know that actually cut the electricity to it. And I know I have no residual memory, the time, it keeps the time, but other than that, I'm just a little, obsessive compulsive that way. And then I let it sit for 15, 20 seconds, turn the APC box back on and then reboot it. And everything comes back on and then, until the next time I remember to do it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, and Misty had something?
Oh, I was just gonna say that mine is a laptop and I don't shut it down all the time either. I just close the lid and reopen it up when I need to, and I give it a few weeks, maybe a month before I reboot it. I don't know if I should be waiting that long, but I do. I wait that long before I shut it down completely and reboot.
I think it really just depends. If you're noticing it's being sluggish, if you're noticing it's doing things you wouldn't normally expect, then you might want to reboot sooner. But if it's operating smoothly, then what works, you don't need to, don't break what works. So if that works for you, only doing it once a month, then as long as there's no problems, go for it.
The most that happens here is it'll say that I need to upgrade when it's already upgrade. So I don't know.
To update, okay. Are you still able to get your updates?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been able to update.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, Misty, we were talking about your update thing the other day.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, did you do the update yesterday?
I did not, because I didn't find out until you just talked about it. So I'm going to do it this evening.
I bet if you do that update, because you said it's going to system, you go to when you're in Finder, you go to, or anything, you go to that Apple menu. And when you arrow down to system settings, because you're on Ventura.
Right.
It could have been that rapid service response was pending. But I have seen it before where I've done the update, not just in Ventura, but in other OSs. And it tells me there's an update and I cannot find it. And of course, it could be something else. I'm trying to think of what that something else could be. but do the update and see if it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
And if it isn't, we'll try and figure out what else it could be.
All right. Very good. Does anyone have any more questions about Mac maintenance, battery updates, whatever? Or if not, then feel free to ask another question.
It's booming.
Hi, Boonmi.
I want to ask a question about Adobe on the Mac. So
Okay.
I have these documents that would not open with any other reading app, not even the browser. It says open with Adobe, and I'm trying to open with Adobe on the Mac, and I don't know how to navigate.
Okay. Has anyone used Adobe on the Mac? I'm assuming you're using like the Adobe. Did you download Adobe Reader?
Yes.
Okay.
Brad, did you
Go ahead,
try
Brad.
opening them with Preview before you tried Adobe Reader?
I just went straight ahead to try Adobe because it says the documents will open only with Adobe. I didn't try Preview. I tried with the browser.
They say open with Adobe, but try Preview.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you
I haven't used.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brad. I cut you off.
I was going to say I haven't tried Adobe Reader on a Mac in, I don't know, probably almost 10 years. I used it when I first got a Mac. I didn't like it, and then I discovered Preview did it, and it was much more voiceover accessible. And I just have stuck with Preview ever since.
Yeah, I didn't try Preview because I tried opening with Chrome on my Windows. I tried to open with Chrome, Firefox. It says use Adobe, so I thought Adobe would be the only way to open it. I was able to open it with Adobe on Windows, but I tried on Mac. I don't even know if the document opened. If it did, I didn't know how to navigate like the keyboard commands for reading and switching pages and things like that.
Yeah, so I find with either Adobe or Preview, I'm trying to remember, you'll see the page thumbnails or the page areas, and each page is, you can interact with each page, and then it should let you, once you've interacted, read down further, even into the next page. You don't have to interact with each page separately, but you could. But apart from that, yeah, I don't. And so if it did open in another program, it wasn't like a PDF image file, right? It was just a regular PDF file.
Yeah, regular PDF.
Okay. Yeah, I would on your computer, like Brad was saying, find the file and then do a VO Shift M, go to Open With, and choose Preview, and see if that gives you any better luck.
Okay.
All right.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
Preview should have been the default for a PDF, but if you've installed Adobe, Adobe Reader might have changed that.
Yeah, I actually changed it. I think I remember manually changing it to Adobe just for documents that say, just because I sometimes come across documents that say open with Adobe. So I changed it to Adobe.
You changed it to Adobe.
I changed the default reader to Adobe.
Okay, yeah. Because you can always change. Yeah, there's a way. Then you know how to change the default application for a certain file type. Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, hopefully Preview is a better experience. Yeah, I don't. It's not fun when those documents don't want to cooperate. Who has our next question?
This is Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Yeah. I've noticed that I think it's in Safari. I'll get this message on certain items. It'll say this item has a help tag, and I'm wondering how do I get VoiceOver to read the help tags?
All right. So, does anyone want to answer Dan about help tags? So basically, there is a setting in the VoiceOver utility. It is under verbosity and the hints category. And in there, you can choose whether VoiceOver speaks the help tag or speaks the notification of a help tag. Since yours only speaks the notification, I believe you can actually hear the content of that help tag with VO Shift H. VO Shift H reads what the help tag is, and it's VO Shift N, I think, reads the actual hint text, like interact with VO Shift down arrow. The help tag could tell you more about what the item is or what it does, but the VoiceOver hint tells you how to interact with that item with VoiceOver. And I believe now what I'm going to do and suggest that everyone does, I tend to forget the commands, which keystrokes do what, but in VoiceOver we have a handy dandy little thing called Commands Help, which you access with VOH. And so if I do that, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing my audio, but if I type in the word help, so HEL, so I have keyboard help, open VoiceOver help menu, read help tag for item, Control Option Shift H, and so that is how to read the help tag. I got to Commands Help by holding down my VO key and pressing H twice. I am now going to hit the delete key to get back to my Commands Help main categories, and this time I'm going to type in the word hint to double check I'm giving you the correct command for that. So H, and it begins with 115 items if I type I, goes to 8 items if I type N. Read VoiceOver hint, Control Option Shift N. And that's how you use the commands help and search for what you're looking for. So there you go. That was a bit more of an answer than you probably bargained for, Dan, but
That's real good. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, those are very handy. VO Shift N, H and VO Shift N, because you can always go into VoiceOver utility and under what is it, verbosity?
Verbosity and hints.
And turn on hints, and then it just chatters endlessly. And sometimes that's like too much of a good thing.
Yep.
And I know a lot of new users, I always suggest that new users turn that on, because, I was doing a class one time and somebody kept wanting to know, well, how do I know when to interact? And I was like, I don't know. You just know. And the answer was staring me right there. Turn on hints. And when you're a new user, it will coach you. But after a while, you may feel you don't need that anymore, and you can turn it off. And then using these two commands, you can get your hints or help tags on the fly, and they're very useful this way.
Actually, sometimes the hints will tell you to interact in an area where you really don't need to interact. You don't need to interact in the desktop, for instance. So sometimes I tell people to turn them off, because especially if, VoiceOver keyboard commands, holding down the VO keys with things gives you more contextual information, but VoiceOver is not going to tell you, for instance, that you could use first letter navigation in the menu bar, or that you could just press the down arrows, an up arrow, and left and right by themselves. So sometimes people might want to be, trying to hold down those extra keys when, not always, but sometimes less keys will suffice. And so the hints are, kind of good for getting started, but then at the same time, they're not the most efficient way to use voiceover. So, yeah, but it's great to be able to. I sometimes have to remind myself, what is this help tag? What is this, thing for? So it's great to be able to do that.
This is Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
And actually, when you're in a menu or something and you're just using the arrow keys without VO, that's Mac OS navigation.
Yeah,
so you can use a combination of the two. And that's the thing, as you get more and more familiar with using your Mac, you will learn I don't have to always use strict voiceover navigation. There's times when, I could just do it a non-voiceover way, and voiceovers will still talk. You'll still speak, and it works just fine. But you'll find whatever works best for you.
Yeah, just the voiceover hints don't teach you that just keyboard. They only teach you the voiceover way of navigating. So sometimes in the class, I'll mention more keyboard commands. I mean, there's definitely a need combination to use both, but you just have to figure out what works for you, like Brad said. So now that we've diverted on that topic, who has our next question? All right. All right. Well,
time for a demo.
Hmm?
I'm joking. I said time for a demo.
Yeah. Go ahead, Herbie.
Does anybody know why my dice roll isn't giving me the gold for some of these ads?
That's not Mac related, but
well, if I was playing on an M1 Mac, I might have that same problem. I don't know. It's a question. I know it's not a good question.
I know. Yeah, demo.
Talk about that tomorrow.
Well, that's kind of why I was going into the commands help thing. I need to. Has anyone tried any Mac apps recently that you like using or
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
So the ACB app, ACB Link app is a pretty cool app.
Yeah.
But I did leave Michael Doyes a little bit of feedback. I said it'd be nice to have an internal volume control built into the app that doesn't use our Mac volume instead. But
and a play pause button.
I want to play. Oh, you should mention that to him then.
Well, there's a play button, but
right.
Yeah.
This is Brad. Is the ACB Link app available in the Mac App Store?
It is.
Ooh, I did not realize that.
It is indeed.
This is Jose.
Yes, Jose.
Okay, so I just got intrigued by something right now. So, all the apps that I have on my iPhone, am I able to use them on my Mac, like Uber, Lyft, WhatsApp, all those apps? Are they able to be used on the Mac as well then?
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
If you have Apple Silicon M1 or M2 Mac, theoretically, the keyword there is theoretically, you can access apps you have already purchased in the iOS or iPad OS App Store and download them to your Mac. You can't go to the iOS or iPad Mac Store and get apps, but if you've already purchased them on your iOS or iPad OS device, you can download them. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to work like they do on your iOS or iPad OS device, or that they'll work at all. Depends on how the developer of that iOS, iPad OS app wrote the app. An app like Uber, no, I don't really think it's going to work because the location analysis and the GPS, the iPhone is a completely different device than the Mac. So I would not expect that app, but an app like Voice Dream Reader will work.
They even have one for the Mac, or would the
they
other
do,
one work?
but you could download the one from iOS. The one for the Mac in the Mac is subscription based, but you can download the one you already purchased from.
Right.
And now, of course, there's a new version of it. I don't know if you can get the original Voice Dream Reader anymore, or if it's now Winston sold that app to somebody else. So I just thought about that as an example because when Apple Silicon came out and you were able to access iOS apps, that is one of the ones that did work well on the Mac. So it depends on the app. I bet that ACB Link app for iOS would probably work considering how that app is. But knowing that there's one in the Mac App Store that's designed for the Mac would probably be a better choice.
Yeah, definitely. And there are some apps which, they've taken like the Messages app on the Mac is becoming, more and more, it feels like iOS. You still have to use, keyboard commands to do things on the Mac, but there's, different things like you can pin the conversations. It's just different. You have, some apps, Messages is one example. I can't remember if there are any others where you use this thing called the voiceover actions menu much more. That's VO command space. You use that to do things more as opposed to your VO shift M. So apps do, you kind of have to figure out, what their keyboard commands are on the Mac, even if it is an iOS app, and how well, Messages is an Apple app, so it's going to work well, but some of these other apps, how well are they going to work on the Mac for voiceover and keyboard users? Yeah, Brad?
And what you're talking about, the Messages app, that Apple actually took. They used to be a separate app for the Mac,
right?
But what they did is they did take the one for iOS, iPad OS, probably iPad OS more so, and they modified it, and that became the Mac app. But back to when we were talking about certain apps that come from the iOS, iPad OS platform, remember, most of those apps, particularly ones for the iPhone, were designed to be used with the touch interface.
Yeah.
Even though maybe you could use a keyboard and voice over keyboard commands on your iPhone or iPad, but you got to remember that an app like Uber, it's not designed to be used that way. It's designed to be used with a keyboard. With a touch screen. So to try to download something like that and use it on a Mac where all you have is keyboard interface, it may, like I said, theoretically, some apps work, but that doesn't mean that they all will work well or work at all. And I bet the Uber app is one that would have a big problem even navigating it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a complicated app on an iPhone. So I can imagine what it'd be like there's a lot going on that one.
Yeah, and as far as WhatsApp, I know that I don't know if there's a WhatsApp Mac app. I know there's one for Windows, but I suppose you could even just use the WhatsApp site on your Mac. I think I've actually done that before. So, yeah, all those things would just need playing around.
So I am able to use WhatsApp on their website on my regular desktop. I always thought I had to be tied to my phone.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so it might work on the Mac as well. All right, great question. How much can our devices do? How much can they be interchanged with one another? That's important.
Misty.
Yeah, Misty.
I was going to ask if anyone used FaceTime on their Mac?
Oh, yes.
Herbie.
Herbie would.
This is Herbie.
Yeah.
Herbie would
I
love
was
to
going to
tell
say,
you
who would
about
like
it.
to talk about
I
FaceTime?
use
And I
it
was starting to say
religiously.
Herbie. Yeah. All right. So,
I use it for FaceTime. I use it for phone calls. What do you want to know about it?
Well, right now I have a group on my message for FaceTime, but I was wanting to know if you could do the same with on the Mac.
I believe you can. Yes. Yeah. In fact, I know I've done group FaceTime on the Mac before. So yes, you should be able to do that. Yes.
Okay.
You'll just have to interact with the thing. I've not done a group FaceTime on the Mac in a long time, but I have been able to do it before. So.
Okay.
And for the rest of you out there, definitely give it a try if you've not already done so, because you get freedom. You don't have to have a thing to your ear. You get to be on your computer. So it's a really good thing to use on your Mac. That and iMessages / text messages. Brad. Anyway, did I say that? No. It really is, because you get the full flexibility of your keyboard. You get freedom. It's really awesome, and that was one of the high selling points for me for the Mac early on, which is why I use it, because I do. There are times when I do find it easier to use the phone, and there are times when I do find it easier to use the Mac. So I use them interchangeably.
This is Gail.
okay. Let's go ahead and go with Boone, me, and then Gail.
Okay, I wanted to ask a question about using FaceTime on the Mac.
Sure.
So does this mean your voiceover doesn't get heard by the person on the other end? Like when you're not using your headset, the person on the other end doesn't hear your voiceover.
Okay. I know that they don't hear your voiceover if you do have a headset on, but I'm not. Herbie, do you know if they hear voiceover if you had your headset off for FaceTime on the Mac?
FaceTime, it's probably not, because it does a lot of canceling out, so they might hear like traces of it, but I don't think they're going to hear it fully. But there are always going to be factors, such as what is your voiceover volume level set to, where is it in relation to the mic, things like that. So you'll just have to play with it.
Yes, Brad?
I'm thinking Zoom does a lot of canceling, but you sure do hear screen reader on Zoom.
Yeah, I think FaceTime does more.
My guess would be
than
yes,
Zoom,
you're going to hear it.
Yeah. Interesting question. Okay, so I want to get back to Gail. Go ahead, Gail.
Okay. Yeah, I have a question on the FaceTime. Because I've never been able to make a FaceTime call, answer a call, or make a call on the Mac. How do you do it again?
All right, Herbie, or anybody else.
What was that? Sorry,
I've never been
able
on
FaceTime.
How do you make a call on FaceTime
and answer
a
call?
I find that Siri is honestly the easiest way to make a FaceTime call. You can do it within the app by interacting with the person you want to call, but you're actually going to find Siri the easiest.
But then she wanted to know, like, when somebody's calling her, how does she answer it?
That you just interact with that pop-up window, and there's going to be VO right to the accept button.
Actions menu is your friend.
Is that the VO command?
Space. VO command space. Yep.
See, today I just interacted because Herbie called me on FaceTime. So yeah, it was a pop-up window. I interacted and I did VO right, and there it was. But yeah, I suppose the VO actions menu would be faster. Well,
yeah, because when it pops up, it has focus.
Okay.
When the phone rings, it's got when voiceover rings, whatever it is rings, it's got focus. So VO command spacebar should open up that actions menu, and you may be able to get to it even faster.
Okay, I need to try that next time. Good to know. All right.
This is Shree.
Yes, Shree?
So I've got a question.
Sure.
I've got my Mac Studio now, so I've got the Mac Studio on my MacBook Pro. Is there a way that I can use one of my external keyboard to cover both?
No.
All right. I think, Herbie, you kind of had a workaround for that. So are you talking about the Apple external keyboard,
Yeah.
Shree? Okay.
Yeah.
And Herbie, what was your workaround for using one Apple external keyboard with two?
I've never had a way to use an Apple keyboard with two external devices. What you have to do is you can only use it with one device at a time. So what you have to do is, if you want to use it with a separate device, is turn off Bluetooth on the first device. So that way it'll go into pairing mode, and then you can pair it with the second device.
Is there a keyboard shortcut for that, or is it just basically I have to turn
No.
up?
But you can
go
use
to the
Siri to
control
turn off
center
Bluetooth.
and turn it off. Control center will turn off Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works too. Yep.
I mean, but that's not a keyboard shortcut.
No, that's true.
VOC, I mean, not VOC, FNC or VO Shift O.
Yeah, but there's no direct keyboard shortcut that you can use.
No, there is not. No.
And is there a keyboard that you guys would recommend? That handles multiple.
I've been playing with Logitech keyboards. They are great for switching between multiple devices, but you cannot beat the Apple Magic Keyboard for just its layout and all the keys it has, and the function key is not in weird warped places, and you're not trying to use some other but if you really want a keyboard that will pair, I definitely suggest Logitech.
And your MacBook Pro has a keyboard built in right there on it, and then the other one's connected to your desktop Mac. I don't know. I think the solution you're looking for is more difficult than just dealing with two keyboards.
Mary Ellen Earls?
Yes, Mary. Oh, go ahead.
How about using one computer, using the Bluetooth, and then turning it off and plugging the other computer via the lightning cable into the keyboard? You can use it that way, because I've done it.
Right.
Yes, and that pairs it with the other machine. But again, his laptop has the keyboard on it right there. I think it's more effort to do that than it is to leave the Bluetooth connected to the studio and just use the keyboard on the MacBook Pro.
This is Shree.
Yes, Shree.
So I did try that once. I had Bluetooth on my Mac Studio and connected wired to my MacBook Pro, but it seemed like if you wire connect it, it automatically takes priority to that connection. At least that's what was my experience. But
it also pairs it when you connect a Magic Keyboard to a Mac, any Mac with a wire, it Bluetooth pairs it to that machine.
Uh-huh.
And in my experience, if I take my Magic Keyboard and I pair it to another device, in order for me to pair it back with the original device, I have to go to Bluetooth settings. I have to tell it to forget this device, and then I have to repair it, even though it's the same device.
Yeah.
So again, I'm just saying you're making a simple situation very complicated by you're going against the grain. I don't know.
Now,
let me think of more metaphors, but
Sorry, this is Shree. Wasn't there a new feature where you can put your iPad next to your Mac and your Mac next to another Mac?
That's for video. That's for video only. You'll see your mouse will go across, but again, that's with an iPad, I believe, not with another Mac.
See, I saw
that's continuity.
See, I saw 9 to 5 do a Mac, an iPad, a Mac, and an iPad. I mean, they just did a string of these.
It's an iPad though. That's an iPad.
No. They went from
another Mac.
No, they went from a Mac to an iPad to a Mac. Mac, and then an iPad. They just strung like 5 computers.
But they still
doing it.
use the iPad of the intermediary or whatever.
Yeah, the iPad's in the mix. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think, I mean,
I understand.
if you're going to want.
What's your.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, if you want to have 2 computers on at once, yeah, and be going between them, and I have 2 computers sitting here. I like to do that, but it's definitely, like Brad said, either just use the built-in keyboard on one and the Bluetooth on the other, or get, like a Logitech for one of them, or, that'll pair to the different keyboards, or different computers. Ugh. Sorry, go. Were you gonna say anything else, Brad?
No, that was it. I just think, like I said, I use one of the things I'll do if I'm on like a Zoom call and I'm trying to do something, read something that's on my Mac Studio. I pick up that Bluetooth keyboard and move it over and set it either next to or in front of my MacBook Pro, which is on Zoom. It's like playing 2 pianos, but
Right. Yep.
I just think, you're trying. I understand what you're trying to do, but there is no, other than the Logitech, which is designed to hot switch from one device to another. You can't do it. I mean, the Mac Magic keyboards just aren't designed for that. And even as Chanelle said, I've tried using Logitech. They're a nice keyboard, but they just something about them. They just don't work quite right on the Mac like the Magic keyboards do. Nothing beats a Mac Magic keyboard.
Maybe I'll just look into getting maybe a 2-port KVM switch or something.
But again, to get what?
Like a KVM switch, where you can connect
the
keyboard and a mouse.
If you switch, you're talking about to switch it wired, correct?
Yeah.
But that is a Bluetooth keyboard, and when you connect it to a Mac with a wire, it Bluetooth pairs it with that keyboard. Mm-hmm. So maybe that would work going back and forth, but I still think there's going to be the problem that it has been previously paired with that device, and in my experience, it doesn't like it if that device shows up in the Bluetooth list of devices. It doesn't seem to work right. I have to go in there and delete that device in order to repair that same device with a device that's previously been paired with. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been a while since I've tried it, so maybe it's changed, but
I doubt it, unfortunately.
I doubt it. I mean, it seems like, wow, okay, I took this keyboard and I paired it with my MacBook Pro for some reason. And then I come back and I want to use it back on the first, and it just won't do it. And I just had to go into Bluetooth, delete it, and then repair it. Because I thought it'd be, oh, cool, I can take my extended Magic Keyboard with me when I go out of town and use it on my MacBook Pro. Because I'm going to be out of town for a week. When I'm sitting in a hotel, it'd be nice to have a full-size keyboard instead of the one that's on the MacBook Pro. And then I come back and it won't work. I have to wipe it and then repair it. So.
All right, well, thanks.
All right. Sorry about that. It's always disappointing. I know. I never take no for an answer either. Ugh, but anyway, let's see. Does anyone have any other questions? Well, thanks everyone for hanging out. We've had a lot of great questions. What is the ultimate question?
This is Sri.
Yes, Shri?
One final question about the Mac Studio. Do you press and hold the power button to shut it down, or just push it and then release to shut it down?
Neither.
I'm sorry,
You
did you
shut
say?
it down. You shut it down through the Apple menu.
Yeah, like sometimes I get stuck and I'm like forced to push the power button, and what I can't tell is, am I holding it down or just pressing it to release?
You're talking about when it doesn't respond and you just tap the button on the back,
Yeah,
or when you
yeah.
press it and hold it.
My question is, to shut it down, do I have to press and hold it, or just push it down once and release and it'll shut it down?
That's a forced shutdown, and you press it in and you hold it, and it's not recommended you do that because it doesn't go through a proper shutdown. You're better off to VOM, open the Apple menu, and then there's shutdown. And of course, you can always just type SH, hold down the Option key, and hit Enter, and it will just shut down immediately.
Say that again.
Go to the Apple menu, VOM. You're on the Apple menu. Hit the
Right,
down arrow.
Okay. Oh, then type in SH.
Type SH is shut down.
Got
Now,
it,
if you hit Enter, it's going to open a dialog box and make you confirm that you want to shut down. But if you just hold down the Option key and press Enter, it just shuts down. It doesn't ask you to confirm that's what you want to do.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've experienced this, Brad, but sometimes I don't hear voiceover, and like I have no idea if the Mac is on or off. And my only solution's been
when you power it on or off.
Well, I can't tell because I don't hear anything, and so I'm forced to kind of do the forced reboot from the back because
if you just do VOM, I mean, even without hearing, VOM, press the down arrow, type SH, hold the Option key, and hit Enter. You just shut it off, and you'll hear it. It makes the box makes a little sound when it makes a little click when it shuts off.
Right. I did hear that.
You know, you just shut it off.
Okay.
And then the thing boots up so fast. It's not like, my Intel Mac Mini that, took 30, 40 seconds to boot up. And sometimes VoiceOver doesn't talk, but actually I tend to use AirPods with it all the time. So I've turned when the AirPods are not in my ear, it's running off the speakers that are in my monitor, and I've turned that volume down to 0 so it doesn't talk in the middle of the night when I'm not using it, because it will do that sometimes. When I do an update or something, I try to remember to take the AirPods out, turn the volume up so I can hear it. But I'm not sure exactly what I got lost at the quote. You can't hear it when you turn it on.
Yeah, like there's been times where I actually had to call Apple Accessibility to say what's on my display screen because I don't hear anything. I'm asking, hey, do you see the desktop, or you don't see the desktop? And there's been times where they're seeing the desktop, but I don't hear anything with voiceover.
Well, do Command F5.
Oh yeah, we tried that. It's like I'm not sure what causes voiceover not to say anything.
VoiceOver, some do have File Vault turned on.
For this time for the studio, I didn't turn firewall on.
Yeah, I don't use File Vault. Try turning your volume up. I mean,
but I definitely hear it after I reboot. It's like the reboot does something.
I don't know what to tell you then. It's
Yeah, File Vault shouldn't affect anything.
It talks different.
It does on my MacBook Pro. In the startup,
right? Well, but it's still. I use File Vault all the time, and
well, I was just trying to find out what he had going on so we could.
Right.
Because it's going to react differently with File Vault on than with File Vault off.
Once you get past the logon screen, it's normal. But yeah, that initial thing when you turn it on, yes, it's a little bit different.
I have found it with Ventura and with Monterey before it, but a lot of times with Ventura, when the thing turns on, it's not it's not talking, it's not responding, and I don't know if it's changed since this update yesterday. I find that if you have a trackpad, right? If I just click the mouse somewhere in the middle of the screen, how do I know I'm in the middle of the screen? Put my finger on the trackpad, run it to the upper left corner of the trackpad, then back it off, even if I have to do that twice so that I know the mouse is in the upper left corner of the screen. Then take the trackpad diagonally back towards the middle of the trackpad. I now know that mouse is not up in an extreme corner. It's somewhere towards the main body of the desktop. And then do a mouse one finger click. And you just made the desktop active, and then suddenly my voiceover will start talking. Try that. That's a unique thing I've noticed with Ventura.
And I know some things, like I will turn voiceover off because it's being weird or whatever, and then you kind of have to wait a few seconds before you turn it back on again. It like Command F5 twice quickly, it just doesn't respond. So
I have to
you have
sometimes
to,
when I've turned it off, do Command F5 2 times to get it to come
me
back
too.
on.
Yep.
It's a weird thing.
Yep.
It's just a bug. I don't know.
Yep. All right. So hopefully those things help, and enjoy that new studio.
Oh, I like it. It's good.
What do you like about it, or what?
Just the response time, going from an
Okay.
Intel to this, is the response time is like you can tell that things come up really quick. I think from a like when I've used like Amadeus Pro, I don't see any difference, but I'm expecting, maybe with other stuff that I'll notice the difference.
Okay.
This is Dan with a question for Sri.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Sri, I'm wondering, have you run news on your studio, the news app?
News app?
Yes.
No, Dan, I have Apple One or whatever they call it, and I've never used the news app. I've not used many of the features that come with that.
This is Brad. I've used it on a Mac before.
Is there a particular reason you're asking?
Yeah, I'm wondering if news runs better on the new Macs with the M2 chip. I don't like news running on my Intel. It doesn't run very well. I'm wondering if it runs better on the new Macs.
I could definitely take a look at it. And
I don't think it'd be any different. What I found was there was entirely too much interacting. It was just simpler to use it on the iPhone.
I agree. Yeah,
I've used it on a Mac, but it's been a while, and it was when I had an Intel Mac Mini, and I just didn't like it. It was just it was too laborious, too much navigation, too much interacting, too much VO spacebar, then uninteract, and everything I had to do to go into an article, read an article, leave an article, go to another. And it's just more of a fluid experience on the iPhone. And I think I used it once and said, forget this. This is more trouble than it's worth.
So it doesn't make any difference.
I can't imagine it'd be any different on a studio.
Okay, thanks.
Great discussion. What apps work better on the Mac versus the phone? Does it really make a difference? And sometimes it does. Sometimes it comes down to your own comfort level. So we are winding down here to the end. Don't forget to join us on Thursday for Chillin' and Grillin' from 7 to 9 p.m. Central here on Zoom for it's iBug's Life. On Friday, we have iBug Night at the Virtual Movies, also beginning at 7:30. And the movie is at 8. And then Monday, back here for iBug Buzz.
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri?
One thing I was going to just say about the studio, what I found beneficial compared to the MacBook Pro is my desk real estate got a lot smaller. I'm not using a docking station. That cleared up a lot of space. So from that perspective also, it's a lot cleaner.
Nice. It's always nice to reduce clutter. That's good feeling. Great. And we will be back here on August 22nd. It'll be the fourth Tuesday. So, we have about less than a minute. So I am going to go ahead and say bye and hope that all of you have a good evening and hope to see you in some iBeg activities coming up.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Chanelle.
Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Ending the meeting.